Hi, welcome back to the Listen Up Girl podcast. I'm Zach Friedman, and today we're asking a question that keeps coming up across sports, culture, and politics. Are we witnessing the heated rivalry effect? But lately, visibility isn't just symbolic, it's structural. Athletes are coming out with clarity, fiction is reshaping real locker rooms, and at the same time, backlash is getting louder, sharper, and more coordinated. So let's get into it. Our first story is Andrew Ogilvy comes out during NBL Pride round. Retired Australian basketball star Andrew Ogilvy has publicly come out as gay during the NBL's fourth annual Pride round. Ogilvy made the announcement while speaking with openly gay NBL player Isaac Humphries, saying that the culture shift in sport is finally made space for honesty. And now there's a place for us to have this conversation, Ogilvy said. The 37-year-old played 218 NBL games, spending most of his career with the Illawarra Hawks, leading them to the 2017 Grand Final. He has also competed internationally in Spain, Turkey, Germany, where he won a basketball Bundesliga championship. Ogilvy revealed that he's been married to his longtime partner for 18 months. While some teammates knew, he said he never felt comfortable coming out publicly during his career. I probably didn't live my full life authentically as I could, he admitted. And our next story, we're staying in sports. This is a sports newscast today almost, but Zach Sullivan on visibility and its cost. The tension between visibility and vulnerability is something Zach Sullivan knows well. Sullivan is the first openly bisexual male hockey player in the UK, shared conflicted feelings about heated rivalry in a recent Instagram post. This show has dragged up a lot of personal trauma, he wrote. It feels like parts of my life are being played out on screen. The Manchester Storm defenseman praised the show for normalizing LGBTQ plus relationships in male sports, particularly the fear of teammates finding and the relief of family acceptance. But he also raised concerns. The psychological and mental trauma that has closeted LGBTQ plus athletes lives through in a hypermasculine and overtly homophobic sport has been totally disregarded. Visibility, he argues, must come with protection. And continuing with our sports story, LGBTQ plus Sports Hall of Fame announces 2026 inductees. The LGBTQ Sports Hall of Fame has announced its 2026 inductees, including trailblazer trans non-binary runner Nikki Hiltz. Hiltz is a world champions silver medalist and multi-time national champion who has used their platform to advocate for LGBTQ plus inclusion, track, and field. Other inductees include NBA referee Bill Kennedy, rugby star Phaedra Knight, and broadcaster Robin Roberts. Meanwhile, Billie King and Jason Collins received the Glenn Burke Award for courage and authenticity. And Heated Rivalry goes Olympic, and the cultural impact of Heated Rivalry continues to expand. Actors Hudson Williams and Connor Storrie have been named official torchbearers of the 2026 Milano Cortina Olympic Games. The announcement was confirmed by Milano Cortina Games official TikTok account. Meanwhile, the Ottawa Senators have launched Heated Rivalry-inspired jerseys with proceeds supporting Ottawa Pride Hockey, a queer and trans-inclusive league built to counter homophobia in the sport. And on a personal note, I went to a Bruins game last night at TD Garden in Boston, and they were very, very open, where they said everyone belongs, and they had an LGBTQ player from a local hockey team that came out, and it was just like throughout there was rainbow steps walking up to TD Garden to get inside, and throughout there was rainbow signage, and they really are making sure everybody feels inclusive. And whenever they talked about it openly over the loudspeaker and Jumbotron, people were cheering. All these like straight guys watching hockey with their kids or their friends were all cheering. It was amazing. So great crowd at TD Garden during a Bruins game. Our next story is Max Parker cast in God of War. Actor Max Parker, who has been cast in Prime Video's upcoming adaptation of God of War. Announced by Deadline, Parker will play the Norse god of foresight and the son of Odin. The character is described as a powerful yet deeply resentful, feeling underestimated by his family and driven to rise in status and influence. The casting signals that the series is leaning into psychological depth as well as a mythological spectacle. And just in case you don't know who Max Parker was, he was in the Netflix series Boots. So I'm so happy he got something good because he was amazing in Boots. Our next story is Alexander Skarsgård clarifies viral comments. Actor Alexander Skarsgård has clarified comments that led to speculation about his sexuality. Last year, while discussing a role, Skarsgård said that who he's been with, men, women, wasn't relevant to his performance. The remarks went viral, with many assuming he had quietly come out. In a recent interview with Variety, Skarsgård said the reaction was unintended. That was definitely not an intended statement, he said, explaining he was trying to shift focus away from himself and towards the story being told. Ruby Rose accuses Nicki Minaj of tour abuse. Actor Ruby Rose has accused Nicki Minaj of mistreating tour staff during a shared tour. Posting on Threads, Rose alleged repeated public firings of staff, describing an environment driven by ego and humiliation. The claims have reignited conversations about power, accountability, and who is protected in the entertainment industry. And once again, by Nicki Minaj, nobody wants you in this country or in our community anymore because you are a traitor. Next, in queer arts and community, Wexford Pride has announced a partnership with TITE Film Festival, bringing a program of trans-led short films to Wexford Arts Center on February 13th, a first of the region. So congratulations to Wexford in Ireland. Next, politics, backlash, and consequences. In Iowa, lawmakers are advancing legislation that would further restrict discussion of gender identity and sexual orientation in public schools. The U.S. Department of Education has opened a Title IX investigation into a Maine school district for allowing a trans student to participate in a co-ed cheerleading. Meanwhile, South Carolina Representative R.J. May, who frequently targeted drag queens and trans people, has been sentenced to 17 and a half years in federal prison for distributing child abuse materials. Our next story is at the World Economic Forum. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney received a standing ovation after calling for a global cooperation in a fractured world. Polling also shows shifting opinion in the U.S., including increased support for abolishing immigration and customs enforcement, particularly among women. I have heard many stories and read many stories about the Canadian Prime Minister, and it's awesome that he did that. Across sports, entertainment, and politics, visibility is no longer, it's changing careers, it's changing institutions, and it's forcing long-avoided conversations into the open. Whether that momentum leads to protection or backlash depends on what happens next. Thanks for listening. I'm Zach Reynolds-Friedman. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already and share it with a friend if you think it resonates. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll be back later with more LGBTQ+ news.